Hello everybody from the friendly Bobcat. So today I'm going to do a quick video about the safety features on the MT100. And you can benefit from this knowledge because I've put this machine through many different scenarios, many different places, and had some interesting results. And they're great results, but they're results that I should share with you on what's safe, what's not safe, and I hope it can help you while operating this machine, because when I got it, I thought it could do everything, and it can do everything, but you have to stay within the limits. If you're running a 4-in-1 bucket on this machine, you definitely are going to want to take your counterweights that are down here. They come like this stock when you get the machine. The counterweights are here, but you take those off and you put them over here, and you mount those weights exactly how I mounted them. And the reason being is that it transfers the load weight to more on the back of the machine. This is a huge takeaway for keeping the weight on the back side of this machine. You need to keep the heavy weight on the back side of the machine. Prevents flipping of the machine, tipping on the machine, all of that. Weight needs to stay back here. So the thing I'm going to say is, if you're lifting things with like a forklift attachment, 4-in-1 bucket, especially large loads in the bucket, carrying a bunch of rocks, heavy items, whatever, make sure your counterweights are out of there and they're back here. So another big takeaway here is you want to carry your loads low. What I mean by low is this bucket needs to be about a foot off the ground, and I'm not joking. You do not want this bucket to sit any more than a foot off the ground, 2 foot maximum off the ground when you're carrying larger loads, heavy loads. And the reason being is that if your boom arms are if they're up too tall, too high, and too high, so I mean, up here, you're going to drive and you're going to hit uneven surfaces, and your machine's either going to want to tip or flip, because you never want this bucket raised with a load in it. You never want it raised above where my hand's at. This is about as high as you want the bucket to be if you are loaded. So over the years of operating this machine, I have loaded this bucket up, I've driven it up, I've done everything wrong basically, driven it up with a load way higher than this, and the machine tips around and flips around and is all crazy. But this is the height. It's about a foot. So you want this bucket about a foot off the ground when this thing is loaded. If you drive around with a foot off the ground, that's bucket, and it's loaded, you're going to be fine. It says here, carry load low. That's a huge takeaway. So I'll show you right here. That's what it looks like. You want these arms to be about right there. Any higher, there, not good. There, way too high. You don't want to be that high. You'll get knocked around. You want this thing down right about there. So that's what we're looking at achieving when we drive this machine around with loads in it. We want this load to be low. It says right here in this on the warning labels, these are so important. I'm going to say right now, if you don't, a lot of people don't really read these, and it sounds completely redundant that I'm going over this about carrying load low, but it's so important. And you can see here, this load that he's carrying is way too high. The machine is on a tipping because it's not balanced out right. And do not step off this machine when it's tipping like that, because what will happen is the machine, and I know someone that did this, they stepped off this machine down onto the ground when it tipped, and then it came back down, and this plate right here landed on their foot like that. Because when the machine came back down, it seesawed back. Here's another one. While backing up, look behind in the direction of travel. Now, it literally sounds like this is like kindergarten, but I have been in situations while backing this machine up and not looking. I'll be honest, there's been somebody there, and somebody yelled and said, "Hey, watch out." You know, I backed this thing up when I first got it. It moved very quickly, and if you're not looking behind you, you can run into a car, you can run over somebody. You're looking, honestly, backward all the time on this machine. You're looking forward primarily, but every time you go into a backup function or a side functioning movement, you look back. Super important. You can run somebody over, you can kill somebody, you can damage property with this machine if you do not look back. It does not have a backup beeping feature, so people can be standing behind it and you can be backing up at full force and you can just run them over. So really important to be looking back. I want to make sure that my arms are completely down. If I'm unloaded, I'm okay. I can drive down the steep hill, but the arms need to be down. The arms cannot be up. So I hope that makes sense to you. Basically, I'm explaining that loaded, you're always going to back down hills. And if you're going to drive down a hill with a load, make sure you keep that load low. Another thing to talk about is the swing area on this machine. So you can swing left or right, and when you swing around, if you are not looking around, you can totally knock somebody off. That's why this is here. This is a common thing. If you're swinging around, you can easily knock somebody off. So always check that. Now, if you are driving over rough terrain with this machine, you can get knocked off. Here's the illustration. And it can happen. I mean, this machine is very stable, but if you're driving over rough terrain and you're driving over it fast and you jerk this thing, you will fall off. And here are the control functions. So basically, that just tells you how to run the controls on this machine. I think that's awesome. They put that little thing there, but pretty self-explanatory once you use it. And here are the drive functions. So the drive is on the left and controls are on the right. It's cool that they give this little diagram about how to control the different maneuvers on this machine. You got your right hand control for the bucket operations. You got your left hand control for your drive feature operations. That's basically it. So that's everything right here on the front end of this safety panel. And I think anyone that's driving this machine, these are not, you know, if you just jump on this machine and you've never driven one of these before, you're going to jerk all over the place. It's best to start off on these machines on very small jobs and learn how to use them on level surfaces. I am going to say that it is an easy machine to operate, but it is a machine that takes a lot of practice to get down well. And to do things on this machine like well, you need to have a lot of hours built up on it. It's not something that you can just jump on and drive around like crazy on and do all kinds of stuff. Those take hours and hours and hours of working it. But if you work it consistently, get used to it, you know how the machine works, you can put the machine into some situations where you almost know what your machine is going to do. And that's where you excel with these machines, is become like you begin to think how this machine operates. And if you can think how this machine operates, like you know what this machine can do, and you know how to put it in a position where it will excel in, but you know how far it can go, you can take this machine to many great places. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a little repetitive, but just going over some of this basic stuff. And get an MT100 if you got landscaping work. They are incredible machines. Also, get yourself a helmet for one of these guys, because if you fall off the backside, you need something to protect your head. And you know, I've never fallen, but a helmet is essential in driving this machine, and some earmuffs so you don't blow your ears out, and goggles too, because dust will fly. So that's today's lesson. Hope you enjoyed, and keep MTing.